Good morning, friends. It is day 19. This challenge is absolutely flying by. We are in our third week of the challenge. This is the week we focus on how our meditation practice transforms our life. So we looked at week one, just the 101s of sitting. We learned how to meditate and be still. Week two, we started bringing mindfulness into our day-to-day life. We mindfully walked, we mindfully ate, we mindfully listened. We saw how bringing this meditation practice can make our life richer. This week, we're looking at how our meditation practice, as it matures, changes the way that we interact with the world. We're going to talk about anger, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Today, we're going to talk about depression. So let's jump right in. Very first, right off the top, not a doctor. I am somebody who has been working with chronic depression for 25 years. So I feel like I've got a lot of firsthand experience. I've had a wonderful team of behavioral health people over the years who've helped me. So I'm going to share some of what my experience has been. But I really encourage you that if you find yourself dealing with chronic depression, whether it's related to grief and situational, or if it's long-term and chronic, there should be no shame in seeking the help of a professional. I am absolutely convinced that behavioral health issues, mental health, is not a sign of a lack of character or weakness. In the same way that we need insulin if we have diabetes, we need antidepressants if we're depressed all the time. If we experience anxiety, that meditation and other natural approaches, we might need anti-anxiety drugs. The stuff that happens in our brain is just another part of our body. And I look forward to the day when we don't have shame attached to mental illness in the same way that we don't blame people for having cancer. So, not a doctor, but here's a few things I learned. I think of depression sort of in three categories. And the third, the one we're going to talk about the most, is where my meditation practice most successfully transforms my depression. I think about the first category is just the pure physical. I have not enough serotonin in my brain, and there's some wonderful things that I can do to address this. When I'm exercising regularly, sleeping well, eating healthy, I find these things to be a really valuable boost to serotonin. If that's not enough, and this has certainly been my experience, I've been working with psychiatrists for 25 years. I'm convinced I would be dead if it wasn't for my antidepressant. But I need all of those things to deal with my chronic depression. I need all of the healthy living, and I need the support of a doctor. So that chemical balance is the physical aspect to depression, is the first aspect of it. The second section, and this is something we touched a little bit on when we talked about grief last week, is the situational or environmental depression, the stuff that comes out of the everyday life stuff that's out of our control. Did we lose a loved one? Are we struggling at work? Going through a divorce, any of those life circumstances that may manifest as a clinical depression that needs the assistance of a doctor, but likely is situational, and if dealt with properly, will go away with time. The third category is the stories we tell ourselves. And this is where I really want to focus today, because I think it's the spot where a meditation practice has the biggest effect. I have a friend, and it's our quote for this week. What's the story you're telling yourself? Is it serving you? And I love that question. So there's this whole area of cognitive biases. We think of it in the family of priming effects. It's the halo effect when we talk about it as positive. It's the horns effect when we talk about it sort of in the negative framing. And these cognitive biases are a lot about our very first impression of a person or a situation, and then our feelings about that moving forward. So if the first circumstance under which I meet somebody, they're being kind and doing something, holding the door open, some other expression of kindness, I will be more inclined in future interactions to view that as coming from a positive place. If we have the priming of a negative relationship with somebody, we'll extend that into the future narrative as well. So I think about this a lot when I email some of my coworkers. Get a short email with not a lot of description. If I like this coworker, I just take it as a quick exchange of facts. If I have a challenging relationship with this coworker, I think about this as, oh, they're being curt because they don't respect me, or they're angry at me, or there's some kind of negative emotion to it. These effects also work internally. I think of my depression sometimes as like a dark pair of sunglasses, almost the opposite of rose-colored glasses. I tend to go through my day viewing things a little bit more cynically. And so my meditation practice makes me really aware of, first, the emotion that I'm experiencing in its purest form. When I sit still, when I'm observing my breath, if I'm anxious, I notice that I feel a little more on edge, that my body is tighter, my breathing is shallower. When I'm depressed, I feel just a struggle to get to the meditation cushion, to bring the effort to bear that I really want to in my concentration practice. Recognizing this emotion in its pure form is the first step and comes out of the meditation practice. The second step is starting to listen to that talking, chattering voice that is adding a narrative to this experience. I'm sitting in that work situation, I'm experiencing some depression, I'm listening to the financials for my organization for the day, and I start getting into doom and gloom. The organization is doomed, we're all going to get fired, there's going to be no work here. Because of my meditation practice, because I spend so much time being aware of my thoughts, releasing those thoughts, and bringing my attention back to the experience of my breath, I'm able to witness more clearly this narrative, the story that I'm adding to a situation. So it's an awareness of the physical state of the depression and then the story that I'm telling myself that I'm able to start editing the story a little bit. I read that email from the coworker. What if I was receiving this email and she was somebody that I loved and we got along well? How would I be interpreting that email then? And it literally, that exercise of tinkering with the story changes the way I feel about the circumstance. I do want to just talk quickly about hopelessness. When I'm going through a real stretch of depression, there is a sense of hopelessness that settles in. It's never going to get any better. I'm going to die like this. What's the purpose of going on? It's always going to be miserable and dark. And despite going through these periods every 6 to 8 weeks, and especially in the winter for myself for 25 years, I still have this quality of depression that comes across as hopelessness. It's never going to get better. And this is where I find the single most valuable and powerful tool to address this storyline, this sense of hopelessness. For me, it's service to others. There's a lot that we'll talk about in the next couple of days about meaning and purpose and hope being the foundations of contentment or healthy happiness. But that hopelessness, I think, can be most quickly addressed by being of service to others. If I can help somebody, if I can make their day a little bit better, I give them hope. And in giving them hope, I see it reflected in myself and I experience some of it as well. I also add to this narrative that I have about my life that, wow, geez, the world's a little bit better of a place because I'm in it. And, I've got this resume of doing a lot of good things. And maybe I should stick around and keep trying to add to the world and make it a better place. So I think using that hopelessness as a trigger, not as an experience to get mired down in, but I see when I'm experiencing hopelessness as a call to action. And it's through focusing on service for the last 10 years that I've really had the most transformative experience of my depression. It's very hard for me to experience hopelessness and really get dragged down in it when I feel like my life has meaning and purpose because I'm of service to other people. So it's a lot to cram into a short video. I've talked longer than I normally like to, but it's a rich topic. We got a lot of fun stuff we'll get into this week, so looking forward to the next couple of days together. Let's continue our practice. 3 minutes of silent meditation. We've got our meditation group. The Tuesday night group's at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. Hope you can join us for that. Let's go ahead and sit for 3 minutes. May your practice be strong. May your day go well. We'll see you at the 8 o'clock meditation group tonight. Happy Tuesday, guys.